and welcome to the Grianaig Creations podcast. My name is Kirsty and I am coming to you from the west coast of Scotland, where today it is extremely dreich and just ugh. So I'm going to be flitting my eyeline between two different setups just now because I have already spent the last 30 minutes recording on my Lumix camera for it to not allow me to end the recording. I then had to remove the battery, which did not save down the 30 minutes. So I have my laptop here and then I have my camera here. So if the camera doesn't finish or let me save down what I've recorded, I at least have the backup on my laptop. So please forgive the changing of where my eyeline is, and if I'm not quite, if I look a bit distracted. But that's what's happening, and I hope that I don't have further issues. Otherwise this camera is being returned. And it's normally when you threaten technology that's when it throws the fit and decides to not work. So, sorry. Did not realise the leg of my chair was there. Let's move that around. Okay, so today is the 28th of June, which I can't quite wrap my head around. Time, as other people are putting it, is quite fluid at the moment, and I don't like it. So I feel like the last couple of months have dragged in, but at the same point, I can't quite believe we're almost in July. So that's that. I took 2 days off work, so I've had a lovely, nice, long weekend. I had Thursday and Friday off, and now today is Sunday. On Thursday it was really, really warm. It was sitting about 28 degrees here in Scotland, which is fairly unheard of. We normally, the highest we get is normally about 20, 21. So the fact it was about 28 was uncomfortable. And we then had apparently a thunderstorm I slept right through, and it's been raining ever since, and the weather is just a little bit cooler. I'm wearing this today just because I only have a strappy dress on and I just wanted to throw something on over it, but I am starting to feel the heat. But yeah, I can't remember what else I said in the other 30 minutes, so let's just jump straight in, shall we? I have 2 finished objects. One is crochet and one is knitting, and I have a half finished object which is knitting. So we'll start with the crochet. This is, you've seen this on the last podcast. This is the blanket I've been making for a work colleague's son who's expecting their first child. Last time this was seen, it was about halfway round this white section. So from here down was where you guys last seen it. So I completed the second half of the white round. I've gone in and put in the purple, and then I've also finished it off with another round of the white. It's a fairly small blanket. I decided not to make it bigger and keep it as a car seat blanket or a pram blanket. I have been told the couple will like it. I can only hope that is true. They did find out they're having a boy, which is exciting. And I'm not sure if they're a couple that are like blue is for boys and pink is for girls. Not that there's any pink in this. But some might say it's very feminine colours. I just really like the pattern. I like the yarns. I think it's very bright and summery, and rainbows are for everyone. So that's the finished crochet. I didn't really show it off too much, but I did talk about it quite a bit on the last podcast and showed it in more detail. It is the wool eater blanket or the yarn eater blanket. I think it's the wool eater blanket, which is a free project and we'll get to that discussion later. Okay, so the finished knitting project are these socks. So this was the first one, and I'll always remember that because there is way more pink at this one than there is in this one. But I will show the comparison to what would have been after this section here and the next sock. So these are, the main yarn here is from Stranded Dye Works, and it's in the Flamingo Lace colourway, and this was in a sock blank. I love working with sock blanks. I really, really love working with sock blanks. On days where my wrists and stuff are too sore, it makes it a lot easier for me than to have to set up my Swift and cake up some yarn. So this is that colourway there, and the contrast cuff, heel and toes is by Pixel Atlantis, who is no longer dyeing, and it is in the Poison Poppies colourway. And I think those colours just go so well together. I really, really do. So I finished this one just yesterday. I think it was yesterday evening. I managed to get this bound off, and I'm really, really happy with them. All the socks I've made this year have not yet gone into wearing circulation, and it's because I want to either just wear through what I have or really just kind of sit down and see, right, okay, these have got a wee bit tight, because I put all my socks in the washing machine, every single pair. We don't have a tumble dryer, and I've not put them in the tumble dryer, but they go in the washing machine on a standard wash. So some have got just a little bit too tight. So I want to see what pairs I can take out of circulation and what ones I can put into circulation. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm just keeping them all separate. This is my 7th pair of the year, and I've got my half of the 8th pair just about to show you. So I'm on a good track to at least get 12 pairs made this year. I've never been one to monitor how many pairs of socks I've made, but because I'm keeping them separate, it's a lot different. Like, I can see what I've made, and there's just a nice feeling about having them sat there and you can look at them and be like, I've made all those this year alone. So I can see why people keep project pages and notes and like notebooks and workbooks and stuff about all the projects they make. I can see why they do it. I just don't. So yeah, I really, really like these. And then my half finished object is, in my eyes, quite a stark comparison to the last one. So if we were to fold this down and take out the toe, that's the progression of the sock blank. So it went from that into that, which I think is really, really beautiful, but I just think there's such a comparison. To me, this feels like maybe like, to say wintry sock sounds weird, but I feel this looks really summery. Like, between the fact that I've teamed it up with a very beautiful pale violet, and then this just screams kind of like summer to me, because there's a lot of peaches and quite a bright red in my opinion, and then very, very, very pale pinks. It just like screams summer, and I really, really like that. It also seems quite delicate. I know that might sound a bit weird, but it's just what comes to my mind. Okay, that side's a wee bit more delicate than that one. But I really like it. And the second sock's going to be a bit different from this, because I had to, after I bound off, I unravelled the sock blank and got a ball about that big, which is about 20 grams, before I got to where I wanted to start the second one of this one. And then I've got about a portion of the sock blank about that long left as well as the 20-gram ball to make the second one here. So the second one's probably going to look a bit different as well, because there's just a wee bit of black in both the bits of the sock blank I have left. So yeah, we'll see. But these have been knit exactly the same. So I do mine on a 2.25mm needle. I start toe up, so I do the Turkish toe, or the Judy's Magic cast on toe. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, I'm pulling out cat hair. I think my cats have just been sitting on this and shedding on it. So I do a whatever toe. I then do 3 rounds of increases. So I increase 1, 4, 2. Increase 2 stitches. Right, okay. So I do my toe on magic loop. So I've got 2 needles. I increase 2 stitches per needle, 1 on each side. Why did I have to make that so complicated? So I'm increasing 4 stitches per round. So I do 3 rounds of increases, and then I alternate between a plain round and then an increase round until I get to my stitch count, which is 64. And then I do 3 rounds of just plain knitting before I change to my main colour. And that just kind of, I feel that gives me quite a nice depth in my toe. I might change that one day and do one of the toes where this increase is steeper than this one, so it kind of looks like that, so that it's more designed for per foot. I don't know the correct terminology here, folks. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so from there I then work the body of my foot, which is quite long because I have a UK size 9, and then I do a fish lips kiss heel. This is one of my preferred heels. The other one is just your standard heel flap and gusset. This one looks a bit weird because this sock has not been blocked, so it kind of pulls in here, so it doesn't really sit true. And I like a slightly wider wedge for my heel, so I do 10 stitches here, 10 stitches here, and then 12 here. I just like that slightly wider wedge right there. And then from there I do about an inch, and then I increase. So I put an increase here, and then I put an increase here, and then I'll do another 10 or so rows. I'll pop another increase in here and another one in on this side. That takes me up to 68 stitches, and that, for the length of the leg that I like, that is more than enough for me. I just quite like a wee bit more fabric on the leg than I do on the foot. And then I do a 2x2 bind off, 2x2 cuff, and then I use a surprisingly stretchy bind off as my bind off method, which might not be stretchy enough to some, but I prefer that to doing a yarn over every stitch. I do a yarn over every other stitch, because if I do every stitch, it just way too much stretch for my liking. So I'm probably going to cast on the next one tonight because I go back to work tomorrow, and I like to have a sock on my desk for any work calls that I can work on this whilst on the call. I feel I focus better when I'm working on something, when I'm keeping my hands busy rather than just listening to the call. I feel I get a lot more distracted. So I'll probably cast that one tonight, but I really like this one. I just feel it's such a summery sock, and it's just, I just like the colours. So my neighbour's doing DIY, which was one of the reasons I had to try and pause the last recording when I found out my camera wasn't working. So if there is pauses and jumps in this, it's because he is doing DIY. If it's not too horrific a noise, I'll just keep going, because I don't even know if what he's doing just now can be picked up on the camera, on the microphone. So if you do hear stuff in the background that's not seagulls, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can hear that. It is my neighbour. He moved in recently and has been doing a ton of DIY, and it's really getting annoying. Okay. I made my own iced tea. So this is the strawberry lemonade from Bird and Blend that I got when I was down in Manchester. And just because I've been so hot recently, I've only wanted cool drinks. And I was just like, let's try and make iced tea, because I'm slightly obsessed with Lipton's peach iced tea. And they put a lot of crap in theirs, so I'm trying to get away from that. Okay, so we're on to works in progress now. This one's been kept in a wee bag that I made. I really like this bag. And I'll show the yarn first. Let's show that side, it's a wee bit prettier. So this is some hand spun yarn I got from Kathy's Knits in Edinburgh about a year, maybe 2 ago now. I really love this yarn. Like, if I could spin like this, I'd be very happy. And it's certainly something I'm going to work towards as well. So this is the colours I'm working with. This yarn should look familiar to any long-term viewers. I used this yarn for a brioche kitty hat, and that's exactly what I'm using it for again. So when I made that last brioche kitty hat, I showed my mum, who really liked it, and I said I had plenty of yarn, did she want me to make her one? And she said yes, which I don't mind. That was not a trick question when I asked her. Oh, my yarn's tangled. So I cast this on about a week ago, not even, like maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and today's Sunday. And I feel like I've got a fair amount of progress done, considering I have been working on some other projects. And I love how this knits up. I love that it does look like it's striping, and technically it is. And I also love when you fold up the brim and you get that contrast. Right, let's not drop stitches. So I do love that contrast in 2-colour brioche. And my mum does want it just a wee bit longer. I don't know if she wants it longer so that there's a brim, or whether she just wants it just a little bit longer, because mine doesn't sit far enough down on her ears for her liking. And to be honest, I don't think it sits far enough down in my ears for my liking. So if I can learn how to take out the bind off and put it back on the needles as 2-colour brioche, then I'll probably do it and just add a little bit more length. It'll probably look a bit weird because I used the same skein to start Mum's, but that is what it is. I don't mind the length it is, and I could wear it, but preferably, preferably I'd like it to come to the bottom of my ears, whereas I have to kind of pull it down sharp to get it to cover my ears, and then it kind of creeps back up. So I think if we're looking at ears, I think it comes about here on my ear, whereas I'd like it to come down to here. But that's me being pernickety. So yeah, I hope to get this finished in the next couple of days. Not like there's any rush, it's not cold enough to wear it, but it's just another project of my needles. So yeah. And the other yarn I'm using is just some yarn I hand dyed quite a while ago, and I don't dye anymore unless it's just for me. But I really love this grey, and it's the same grey that I've got in my V-neck magpie. So yeah. Right, let's try and get this all back in without getting everything all tangled back up. Oh no, that's unraveling. Okay, project number 2. I'll go with this one. This is being kept in a very cap-covered Floof Hunter bag. And this is my crochet granny stripe blankets. And it doesn't look, I'm just going to keep it folded double, as you can see. It's not wanting to play ball. So this is my granny stripe blanket that I showed off in the last podcast. I haven't put in too much work. So I've got a progress keeper here that my, sorry I'm showing it on the camera and then I'll show it up here, that my friend Aileen made as part of a collaboration she and I were doing last year. She made the progress keeper and I made the project bag, and it is a thistle. I think it's lovely. So I have done 8 rows. 8 rows. I was going to say rounds, but that's not right. Done 8 rows on this since the last time you've seen it. And it's not a ton of work, if I'm honest, but I am working with fingering weight yarn on a 3.5. Yep, a 3.5mm needle. And so progress is small. It is slow and it is small. But I don't think I would change it, because I like, once the yarn relaxes, I like that the gaps are fairly small, which means it's going to be a blanket that's going to be really good for keeping you warm. I know it sounds so funny, like blankets should keep you warm, but like holding that up, you can see that the gaps are fairly small, but when I'm crocheting it, because I'm pulling, the gaps look a lot bigger, but then the fabric relaxes in on itself and the gaps shrink, and it's just really, really nice. I think if I made it with a bigger hook, the gaps would obviously be bigger, and I don't want to double up on the yarn because I feel the yarn's got such a nice look on its own that if I doubled it up it would just look really muddy. And I know eventually when it gets bigger the colours are going to muddy a little bit depending what they're beside, but it wouldn't look nearly as bad as if I doubled up the yarn, especially because this is opal yarn. So you can already see, like, if you follow one row along, like if you take this yellow, it then goes into a stark grey, and then like there's a couple of examples where it just changes colour suddenly and it's still in the same mini ball as it was. So I don't want to muddy the colours, but I really do love this project. It's just a shame it's going to take me a long time to work on. I only have this much yarn left, which if we do a comparison, last time it was kind of like up by my eyes or my eyebrows, so it's quite big, and now it's from like my nose down, so it's half my face compared to almost all of my face. Love how that's how I'm trying to measure yarn, how big of my face is. I do have some scraps left because I want to try and keep it all opal, or at least keep it to the feel of opal yarn, because I feel it's quite it's a nice woolly feeling yarn, quite a workhorse yarn as I think people call this. Whereas if I use like indie dyed, it's quite soft, it's quite slippy. I don't know if that's the right word, but I feel that this is a lot more woolly and a lot more industrial might be the wrong word as well. Not good with definitions and descriptions, but I want to try and keep it all that type of yarn or that feel of yarn, so I don't want to introduce like indie dyed yarns to it. So we'll see how much I can actually get done, and how long it's going to have to go on the back burner until I can get more yarn. Okay, project 3. I love this wee bag. It's just from the Disney store. It's nothing fancy, nothing special. That was my laptop making noises. I love this wee bag. I think it's dead cute, and it is housing my Amma sweater. So the Amma sweater has received not a lot of love. Not because I've fallen out of love with the pattern. I love the pattern. Maddie Harvey has made a fantastic sweater pattern. I love the Amma I already have, but it turns out I really don't like knitting sleeves. And I think had I actually thought through my actions, I wouldn't be having such a hard time as I am. So here's what's happening. This is my ball of yarn. and it's getting worse by the second. But if we hold all that up, you can see there's two ends. One of each end is attached to a sleeve, and this is one ball of yarn. I did not think through working from the same ball of yarn. I should have caked up, then half the cake, or balled it up and done half a ball, because I didn't want two big balls of yarn, because this is commercial yarn, so it's in a big ball. Actually, I've got some in here. It's going to be in a different colour, but you'll see what I mean. So it's in one of these, and I didn't want two of these kicking around at the same time, so I thought, right, screw it, you've got two ends of the yarn, just work from the same ball. No, I regret that decision. So I think that's what's hindering my progress on the Amma sweater. And I had told myself I can't start one of my next projects until I finish the sleeves of the Amma sweater, which is a fair amount of pressure on myself. And I'll get into the project, the project I want to make shortly. I'm watching the camera more intensely now because it limits how much you can record in one sitting, and I want to see what it does and if it'll let me start the next the next installment of the video. So I'm gonna technology is not my friend today, guys. Laptop stopped recording and then I ran out of space, but my camera let me keep recording, so I could have been recording on two things for no reason. Part of me didn't want to record today, and I think that's why. Okay, so as we have discussed, I'm knitting the Amma sweater from two balls of yarn, but I have two sleeves on the go. One is slightly longer than the other. That's because I didn't catch up, and it wasn't until I looked at it and remembered why I hadn't bothered to catch up. So I may need to rip back just a little bit on each sleeve. Each sleeve. But I want to try it on again because I don't know if I have done an additional increase where I really shouldn't have and it's now a wee bit too tight, or what. So I may need to rip back a lot further on this one than on the other one that I'm looking at it, to take out one of the decreases. But again, if I try it on and it's just a little snug, I'll leave it. But if I try it on and it's too tight, then I will rip it back. But yeah, that is why there has been no progress on this, because I was stupid and decided that I could work on two sleeves from one ball of yarn that is becoming a giant mess. I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to make life easier for myself. I have actually indeed made it a lot more tricky and involves a lot more tangles in my yarn and a lot more untwisting of strands. Okay, so last project, which is being kept in a bag my friend Aileen made me for my 30th birthday, and it has my babies on it. So this is Monty. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. This is Monty, this is my boy Socks, and this is my baby girl Eli. So yeah, I love this bag. I really, really love this bag. I don't have the pattern to show, but you might be able to get the gist from the pieces. So there's a bit attached to this. Okay, so I have these two pieces. One's the back and one is the front. They will get sewn together like so. They'll get sewn around here. There will be a face on here. There's going to be a bazillion petals going around. And where's my stem? There's going to be a stem. Can't see that from all the bits of yarn. This is going to become a sunflower. There's a pipe cleaner in the stem just to maybe give it a wee bit more structure, but I just keep stabbing myself at the bottom, so I'm just going to try and use my cutting board to push that back in. May have done the trick, I'm not entirely sure. But it's going to become a sunflower, and the reason it's not had much work done on it is because these petals are small. They are size of my upper thumb, and they are quite fiddly, if I'm honest, and other people might not agree that they're quite fiddly, but I think they are quite fiddly. And you have to make 13 per flower. I've got hiccups now. My sister wants one and my mum wants one. I was thinking of making a couple more, but after actually making the petals, I think I'm just going to leave it at the 2, to be honest. Which is a shame because I feel they could really make someone's day. But it is what it is. But it will be nice when it's finished. But I'm not sure when that'll be. Hopefully soon, because it feels like we're going into winter. But yeah, that is my last work in progress that I have to share. My Ursula sweater has received no work on it at all. Again, probably because it will be onto sleeves at this point. What's it called? My northeasterly blanket has also received no love. I seem to be on a bit of a, I'd rather crochet a blanket than I'd rather knit a blanket right now. So the blanket that was the mitered squares that also hasn't received love. It hasn't received love probably in the last 2.5 years. Do I have anything else? I had started a cabled hat. That's not received any love. I think that's me. But what I want to start doing is I want to try and work on each project a little each week and try and make some progress, whether that's just a day's worth of work in one round or one row. It's better than nothing. So I'm going to steal a page out of Honeybee's Knits podcast, and I'm going to find a jar and I'm going to write all my projects down and pop them in a jar. And ow, my elbow's taking an absolute beating today. Ow. Oh, that was the funny bone. So I'm going to find a jar. I'm going to write each project down on a bit of paper and put a bit of paper into the jar. And then I'm going to alternate what project I work on each week. So if I had, say, 7 projects, I'd pick one out a day until all 7 had been picked, and then put the projects back in the jar. So obviously I have over 10, so it's just going to be every 10 days, and then I'll put all the names back in the jar. And that just means everything is going to get some work done on it. It's going to get some form of progress. And oh, I forgot, I have another crochet blanket which I gave up on and said I was going to turn into a cowl and then never did. So it could technically still be a blanket. And it's a crochet granny stripe blanket on Aran weight yarn. So I'll maybe pull that out and see if I can find out what I'm going to do with it. Because I could just rip it all out and it just wouldn't be a project anymore, rather than decide whether or not it's going to be a cowl, because let's be honest, if it's a cowl I'm probably not going to wear it. And if it's a blanket, I really don't need another blanket project on the go. Oh, and then there's the other crochet wool eater blanket, which I pulled out and decided I was going to rip out and start again and put the yarn in a different order. So 2 blankets could be frogged and not restarted just yet. That you guys can hear, right? Oh, damn. Okay, I think he's finished for now. That didn't take too long. I jinxed that. Okay, maybe this time. I don't really have much more to talk about, but I do at the same point. So I'm going to show off some acquisitions that I decided to treat myself to. So as part of the podcast, I put out on Instagram if anyone wanted to do a self-striping sock swap, or just a sock yarn swap or yarn swap. And I traded with Teresa of 33rd Street Knits. I hope that's right. Sure it is. 33rd Street Knits. Talk amongst yourself. I am just checking that's right. 33rd Street Knits. Yep. She also has a podcast. I do recommend you go over and check her out. So this is what I got from Teresa, and this is Leading Men Fibre Arts, which was one of the dyers I really wanted to get my hands on. This colourway is Glacial. It's on the Show Stealer base, and it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. So it's really smooshy and gorgeous, and I just love the colours as well. So this was part of a trade. That's the tag. Ugh, that did not stay upright. So that's the tag. And then I finally managed to put in an order with Sarah of Stripey Cat Yarns. I'm so happy. So I got the Nebula sock set. That's that one. And I don't know how bright and amazing this is going to come up on the screen, but you can see some neon greens here. And then there's some bright pinks and some really nice kind of like neon-y, peachy orange. There's also just some standard blue and a bit of grey, pale purple, some black, and it's just a really gorgeous colour. And when it knits up, it looks stunning. And then the mini skein that comes with is bright and beautiful. So the sock set is 50 grams with a 20 gram mini, and they are both 75% superwash merino and 20% nylon. So the 50 gram is 200 meters, and the 50 grams is 200 meters, 20 grams is 80 meters. And I know I can comfortably get a pair of socks out of a sock set. And then she was doing some one-of-a-kinds where either a colour hadn't quite come out right, or she was just testing something, and I got this. I think this is meant to be one of our Harry Potter colourways. I think this is meant to be book 1. I could be very wrong, but I love it anyway, and it's going to be so beautiful. So it's got some really nice golds, pale blue, also quite a strong, almost navy blue. There's some hints of pink in there, wee bits of red, and it's really just a gorgeous colour. And then the mini skein that comes with this is this gorgeous, gorgeous gold. And again, this is just one of our sock sets, so it's exactly the same. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So that's what I treated myself to. I have been wanting to get some of her yarn for ages. And the reason I found her dying is because she found my podcast. All because we were both knitting the Rainbow Connection socks by Kay Litton. So she found my podcast and followed me on Instagram. So I then followed her on Instagram and fell in love with her yarn. How good is that? So that was perfect. So hi, hope you're enjoying. Thanks for the yarn. So I was so glad I could finally put in an order. And I'm just going to keep saving up and buy one of each of her yarns because they're absolutely stunning. So yeah, that's, whoa, my tissue paper is ripping. Put that in there. Okay, so that's my acquisitions for this month. I have bought some yarn. I have been very good at not buying yarn the last 4 months, and I am a depression shopper. If I feel any really kind of like bad emotions, like I'm sad or I'm upset in any way, I have always been a shopper. I would go onto Etsy, or I'd go into the store and I would buy food. Yeah, mostly just food. Or I would go into Etsy or Dyer's websites or Project Bag Maker's websites and I would buy some stuff on there. But Scott and I are trying to save for a house, and so I kind of made myself not buy things to cheer myself up, which was really difficult. Like, my crutch I had taken away from myself. No one else. Scott had not banned me from buying anything. If he did, I would laugh at him and tell him to jog on. I banned myself from buying stuff, and it was difficult. It was really, really difficult. I'd taken away a crutch I had used for years, and I finally decided to treat myself. So the Stripy Cat yarns, that was a treat. And then Daniel of Popeye Yarn Company posted a really gorgeous colourway in one of his sock sets, which again is 50 grams, and I fell in love. And it was right before payday. I had it in my car, I was all ready to check out, and then I decided to be a sensible adult. Doesn't happen very often, but there is the rare time. So I thought, no, don't buy it right before payday, buy it on payday or the day after payday. So that's exactly what I done. Day after payday, I decided to go back onto the website and I bought 2 of his sock sets, which should be arriving some point next week. And then I put a call out on my Instagram to see if anyone could recommend any dyers, like someone new to me. I checked a few other websites and nothing at that point grabbed my attention, or nothing really jumped out at me going, yeah, I get that. And Verity of Truly Hooked replied to my story, and she put forward a dyer I hadn't heard of. I'm just going to keep recording. If it gets annoying, sorry, I can't really do much. The guy's in the military and he's only here for 8 weeks, so he's got a ton to do before he goes back on service. Anyway, Verity of Truly Hooked had replied with a maker that was new to me, I had never heard of, I hadn't even heard of it on the grapevine, and that was Woolly Mama. So I went on, straight onto the website, didn't even check out their Instagram, just went straight onto the website, and there's 2 skeins of yarn I fell in love with, and they're going to make fantastic socks. So I bought 2 skeins from her, and I highly recommend anyone to go onto her website and snap up some of her yarn. One of the ones I got is just amazing. It's just this rainbow of fairly neon-ish colours. Not quite on the neon spectrum, but quite close. And then the other one I think is going to microstripe beautifully. I can't wait to get both of them in the post. So that's what I've treated myself to this month. Probably not going to treat myself to much more, even though in my heart of hearts I'm just like, oh, we've stopped drilling, we're now hammering. This has been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks solid, so you start getting really sick of all the DIY. And it's every day. Like today's Sunday, it's every day. But he does stop, like he doesn't start before 9 and he doesn't go after 5. So I am so thankful for that. Well, maybe a little bit after 5. but he doesn't work it, like, doesn't do it really early in the morning, and he doesn't work late at night, so I'm so thankful for that. And he seems like a really nice neighbour, but it's just like the vibration comes up the building, and it's just, it terrifies the cats, and I just can't wait for the DIY to stop. As I was saying, that's all the spending I'm probably going to do this month, even though I feel in my heart of hearts that I could probably buy a couple more things to cheer myself up, but I also need to deal with what's making me stressed and anxious and all that jazz. So no more spending, even though there's so many beautiful things out there and I still want to buy stuff, but I feel like what I'm getting is good enough. That sounds like I'm dissing the dyer, but it's really, really, really not. It's just the fact that my being is telling me I need to spend money to cheer myself up, and I'm not spending. So unless you're in that situation and you understand, it's not going to sound right. And I'm going to change the subject. So if anyone's on my Instagram, which is Grianaig_creations, you will have seen that myself and Deborah of the Diary of a Physicist Farm Gal, said it right that time, we are doing a make-along together. So I was watching all of Deborah's back episodes that I hadn't watched since finding her podcast last year. And I don't know why I hadn't gone back to watch them. But now I'm thankful I hadn't, because I got the time to sit down when I wasn't in a really good place. And I have waxed lyrical about Deborah. I waxed lyrical about her in the last podcast. I'm going to try not to do it this time. But she had done a make-along in 2018, I think, called the I Am Worth It Map. Pretty sure I talked about it last time, but I have more details, so I'm going to talk about it again. You don't need to watch if you don't want to. But the I Am Worth It Mao is starting on July 1st, which is Wednesday coming, and I can't wait. I feel that everyone right now really deserves to put a wee bit of thought into themselves. Whether you find that selfish or not, it's entirely up to you. But given the amount of stuff going on in the world and the fact that everyone is fighting for the right thing to try and get rid of racism, like we are fighting to be anti-racists, and then with fighting COVID. Personally, I'm not fighting the government. I am listening to the government. I'm listening to Nicola Sturgeon. I just feel like everyone needs to put some time in for themselves right now. Whether that's going for a bubble bath or whether that's making something for yourself. So that's the point in this make along. It's to put time for yourself. Make something for yourself. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things I want to make. So the first one I have printed off, and I don't know what yarn I'm going to make yet, but I want to make the Mount Pleasant tee. This is by Megan Nodecker, or Pip and Pin, and the Mount Pleasant tee is a simple shirt with a special detail. Mount Pleasant is a light cropped top with a lacy hem. It is knit in the round from the bottom up with a bit of waist shaping, has dropped shoulders and a nice wide crew neck. Oh, so that's what a crew neck is. This top is perfect for wearing with high-waisted jeans or skirts, or over the top of lounger tunics or collared shirts. I have loved this pattern for a long time now, and I decided to get it, and then it just so happened to be such perfect timing that I could make it as part of the make-along. I'm just not 100% sure what yarn I'm going to use yet. So if where's the measurements? So on this, if I wanted just a wee bit of positive ease, I would be making the 2X, which requires 825 meters. So if I got two 425 meter skeins, I would be laughing. I don't think I've ever apart from this, I don't think I've ever made something with 2 skeins of yarn. So I'm a big gal. So I really need to have a look at my stash to see what I have. Otherwise, I'm going to be having to get 3 skeins. And the 3rd skein would barely need to use anything, which would suck. So if I can get it done on the 2 skeins, if I'm really careful with what yarn I pick, I could really, really be on to a winner here. And I quite like the cropped tops at the moment, and I just feel this would be a really nice summer top as well because it does have the short sleeves. So that is one of my contenders. I probably am going to cast it on and just have a couple of different projects. The other project, I'm going to try and pull up just a picture because I'm going to talk about my stance and my feelings about Ravelry. So I'm just going to pull up a picture. This is the first time I'm going to be on their website since all the shit that's gone down. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Smog the African Flower Dragon. Now there's slight irony on this because my friends Gemma and Nilly had a African flower along. And as always, late to the party because I think that make along is over. So here is a picture of Smog the African Flower Dragon. Isn't he adorable? So I have this yarn here and I want to make this guy here. So I'm going to need a main colour. So his main colour is red and then all the flowers are made out of different colours. So I'm going to use this as my flowers and then I might choose red. I might, if I can find that kind of bright, beautiful red. Otherwise, I might just see what I have in stash. Oh, it's 2 different reds. Sorry, I'm just looking at that now. It's 2 different reds they're using. So maybe I don't need to use one red. One's a kind of darker red, one's a more pinky red. Interesting. I would love to make this as part of my I Am Worth It map because I just feel like there's so much love in this and then the finished object is just beautiful. I do love me a plushie. I really do. So this is Contender 2. Contender 3 is a... Wow, that was 52 pages long. I'm not going to be printing that out. We've got this new setup on our printer where we can print so many sheets a month, and then if we go above that allowance, which we set, we get charged per sheet. So I'm not printing out 52 pages. 3rd contender is a candle making kit that I have had for quite some time, and I refound it about a week ago when I was looking for something. I refound it and I was like, oh, that'd be perfect. But the scent that comes with this candle is vanilla. I can't stand vanilla scent. I can't stand coconut or vanilla. Those are the 2 I really, really can't stand. So I'm hoping that I might be able to get online some, nearly said vanilla again, just like I did in my live video. Almost said it again. Why can I not say lavender? I'm going to see if I can get some lavender essential oils and put that in instead of vanilla. Otherwise, I can just completely omit the scent and just have a really nice candle. So that is my number 3, or my contender 3, because I don't know if I'm going to do these in any particular order. I don't know if I'm going to try one and then if I finish that, make some more, or whether I'm just going to start all 3 and see how I get on. I haven't decided. But that's what I want to make for the I Am Worth It MAL. Originally, Deborah and I had said that we were going to be doing this through Ravelry and we're going to be doing it through our groups. That is still going ahead. I think Deborah has already started her group post. I have not. I'm not putting it off, but I'll probably put one up today, but due to Ravelry's accessibility issues at the moment, I have also spoke to Deborah and we have got a hashtag for this make along, which can be used on Instagram, which is hashtag IamWorthItMahal20. And then I am also going to be opening up my Facebook group, which is Grianaig Creations, and you can post on the Facebook group, you can tag myself and Deborah and put the hashtag on Instagram, and if you are comfortable and can use Ravelry, there are the Ravelry groups as well. If you cannot use Ravelry, please do not post just to take part in this mal. I don't want anyone suffering in any form because of what Ravelry have done. So for those that don't know or are not aware, Ravelry recently done a massive update. What was not known straight away though was that when this update went through the beta testing, a lot of people came back and said that they were getting headaches and migraines because of the changes. I have not been on it for any length of time, so I cannot speak personally, but I have friends who are suffering because of these updates. They are getting migraines and they are getting eye strain, and there are people that are having seizures. So it's very serious. So until Ravelry do something and do something proper rather than put a post out saying, look how many new followers we have since last June, and not apologise for the harm they are still causing, I can't promote the use of just Ravelry. So to keep this as inclusive as possible for everybody, we have got the hashtag, and again you can tag us and we can see it that way. Deborah's Instagram username is DocFirewoman, and then I'm also going to be opening up my Instagram. Jesus, Kirsty, get it right. Not had enough caffeine today. I'm going to be opening up my Facebook page, and you can post on there if you want. So again, please, if you cannot use Ravelry right now, please don't feel that you cannot be included in this make along. You most certainly can, and we most certainly welcome you. And if you still can't use Instagram or you don't have Facebook, please let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see if there is something else we can do to help you participate. But I really hope you will. It's about making time for yourself, making something for yourself as well. And I can't stress enough that this is open to any craft. Whether you want to cross stitch, you want to sew, you want to weave, you want to spin, you want to make yourself a really beautiful piece of jewellery, looking at you, Aileen. Any craft at all. This is not exclusive to just knitting and crochet. This is for every single craft possible. If you want to basket weave, if you've got a kit you want to make, I can't think of any more crafts. How bad is that? Literally trying to rack my brain. If you want to colour in, if you want to paint, if you want to draw, I've come to blank again. But yeah, it is open to all crafts. Please don't feel like just because that I'm primarily a knitting and crochet podcast that you can't participate. This is open to all crafts. So yeah, I hope you all have a really awesome time and you come and join us. It is kicking off on the 1st of July and is running until Halloween, so it's a real good long make along. I might get one project finished. Probably the candles. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say. Again, didn't start the podcast by saying where you can find me, but you can find me on Instagram as Grianaig_creations. You can find me on Ravelry as little-b, but again, if you can't use it just now, please don't put yourself in harm's way of trying to get on. And the Ravelry group, just in case people are able to use Ravelry right now and want to jump on there, it is Grianaig Creations Podcast. But you can find me on Facebook as well as Grianaig Creations. And I just think you just have to hit the like button or I might have to create a group. I will look into this and I will do it before the start of the make along. My slipper was falling off. So I feel like I have talked way too much today. My mouth is going really, really dry. But we'll see how my technical issues continue. So far I've had to look at both screens and I'm sorry if that is really annoying. It's been really annoying for me, but I wanted to make sure that it was being recorded some way and not just on one that wasn't going to save down the file. So I'll try and get this all sorted for the next podcast. But until then, I hope you all have a lovely week and take care of yourselves and stay. Had to mess it up in the last sentence. Literally the last 2 words. Stay safe, everyone, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.